Welcome back. I'm excited to have Claire Hughes from Sainsbury's in the UK. First of all, we had a lot of questions about whether all this is recorded. Yes, it is all being recorded. It will all be available later, probably tomorrow. Stay tuned. We'll send out emails or come back to the Velocity site, and it'll be there for you to take a look at. So now, Claire, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me to join.
I actually love the virtual ones because, and I know after COVID it was really hard and virtual, blah, 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 but it lets me get people like Claire to be a part of the conversation, whereas she wouldn't have time or money or whatever, for whatever reason, it would be very, very difficult. So Claire, tell us a little bit about who Claire is first.
Right.
So who are you? What do you do? How did you get there? Director of Innovation. That sounds cool. How do you get that job?
Yeah, right. So I'll tell you a little bit of myself. Sorry, my voice is going a bit. It seems I've got some kind of flu bug, but I'm Director of Innovation at Sainsbury's, and for anyone that's listening that doesn't know Sainsbury's, I'll just come in to say UK retailer. They've got over 600 supermarkets, and similarly, we've got a local convenience format, so we've got over 800 of them, and we also have Argos and clothing brands as part of our overall group as well, but big own label food business, as well as selling brands that you would expect to find in a supermarket. I have worked in retail for around 20 years. I started off my career, I'm actually a nutritionist by background, which is why I got interested in food. I started off in Safeway a long time ago, but the UK Safeway. And I spent some time working in them, doing sort of nutrition and NPD. Left there for a bit to go work in PR, because I'd done quite a lot of work in PR, especially around health and nutrition. Ended up going to Marks and Spencer, another UK retailer, and I was with them for 13 years before joining Sainsbury's, and I've been here for 5 years. And at M&S, I've done various different roles. Actually, I looked after the science and innovation agenda and a technical team. So it was quite a lot of more blue sky thinking, actually, and exploratory stuff we could bring into products for the future. I did sort of roles within trading and technical and central technical function roles, heading up the teams there. And then I've worked a lot really closely with the product innovation team there. And then I came to Sainsbury's really to accelerate their product innovation agenda, which has been a really exciting journey actually over the five years, because lots has changed in that time.
That's very, very exciting. So we have people from all over the world. So thank you for telling them who Sainsbury is. I assume they know, but
They might not.
They might not. I saw someone from New Zealand was registered, so maybe they don't know. I don't know. So innovation, it's kind of the buzzword right now. So you're in a good place to be, right? Everybody's trying to be a little different, give people a reason to shop. So, and I don't want you to tell us any secrets. Do not. Don't tell us any secrets. But talk to us a little bit about your department. What does it look like if I'm working with you in Sainsbury's in innovation?
Right, so the department is typically in retail, actually, and hopefully other people recognise the model I'm going to describe when I talk on the phone. You have, I've got the innovation team, which includes packaging, actually. So sometimes the packaging team sits in other parts of the business. In Sainsbury's, it sits in my team, because when we're talking about product, for me, the product's not only about what goes inside the packaging, is how the product looks and feels, and the messages and the photography and the physical packaging that the products packed in as well, which has become much more important in terms of sustainability and driving the agenda around plastic and much broader packaging reduction. So in my team, we've got people that work on product. We've got the packaging team. I've got a central function where we've got chefs. They do a lot of kitchen creative sessions where we'll be looking at new trends, some of the stuff Chris talked about. We've got some trends and insight within the team as well, and we'll work for seasonal launches or big launches. We've got some big brands actually that we own and own label within Sainsbury's. And then my team, although they report to me in my function, they're also working what I would call the commercial category structure. I actually sit in the commercial team at Sainsbury's, and my whole team do. But then we've got category directors. So I'll give an example, there'll be a category director for meat, fish and poultry. And in that team, we will have colleagues from my team that work as part of that working team to deliver the plan and make the innovation happen. And we go through what you would expect, sort of a smart gated process, which is used for development pretty much globally.
So, I mean, you're in the UK. So historically, the UK has very high private brand penetration, own brand penetration.
Yeah.
Can you say what that is for Sainsbury is? And if you can't, that's okay.
It depends it depends which part of the business you look at, because our grocery part of the business would be more brand led. Yep. So they'd be typically more weighted towards the brands. So around 25-30% own label, and then you're talking the rest of it 70 plus would be in fresh, because fresh in the UK is much more own label driven. So it depends which part of the business you're. Yep.
Well, and that's not that different than a Kroger or something would have here. So it's really not. And I know you have clothing and all of that. What does it look like there?
Clothing is different actually, because they have different brands in clothing. So I don't work in clothing. I'm specifically within the.
But you guys have like school uniforms and all kinds of stuff, right?
Similar to you'd find actually in like a Kroger or I'm thinking Target. Actually, I'm thinking of the ones I've been recently. Where you would have school uniforms, Halloween costumes, a great range of kids wear actually, and we also have Argos. So Argos is one of the within the Sainsbury's, what is within Sainsbury's, and so lots of other products in terms of across GM, electronics, so quite a broad range.
So when you look at innovation, where does it fall in Sainsbury's strategy? I mean, is it important? Is it not important? How does it work out for you guys?
It's very important in terms of food. So if you look at I'm really talking about food. I'm not talking about
that's perfect. Yeah, that's
general merchandise part of the business. And when I talk about food, I talk about groceries actually, because it'll be stuff you'll find in a grocery store. So I have also an own label got household products, and I have some makeup. So they sit within the remit as well. So it's broader than food, but innovation is one of our is a pillar within our strategy actually. So for food, we had a target around. We reset our plan in 2020 to have much more food first strategy, and innovation underpinned that in terms of what we brought in front of the customers to market. And how we grew some of our sub brands within that, where we saw the market opportunity.
Gotcha. So when you saw this research that said 25% innovation, does that surprise you, or how does that compare to what you're doing?
It sounds like quite a high number. I think I'd have said before that's a high number, but it depends how many, like what your base is and what your SKU is, your SKU count is. So 25% of new line and innovation sounds like quite a high number, but yeah.
And you have a large department, so
we've got a big own label range, significant own label range. I tend to split it, and I was talking to Chris about this earlier. I talk about innovation and renovation. So renovation for me being there's products that every year we look at them because we change the ingredients. We might not be able to get those ingredients anymore. We've got automatic lights, so they've gone off. We also maybe renovate the packaging, so we're changing the packaging format to have less plastic. We also take salt out of the recipes as we review ranges. So there's a lot of work goes on with my team in renovating our existing ranges and improving them and making them better, alongside bringing newness to the customer as well.
So innovation and renovation, I like that a lot. That's a smart way to approach it. So when you look at true innovation, where does that strategy flow from? How do you decide what's important and where you want to innovate?
So it comes from lots of different sources actually to pull together a plan. So it could be to underpin business strategic priorities that we've identified It could be a customer. So I should have started with customer first because I'm really customer centric and the team are as well. Customer needs, what's the customer insight? Where's our market share? Have we got opportunity to stretch within separate categories? Are there new trends emerging? That tends to come through into more of our event-led, Christmas-led innovation. So we look at so much insight to determine what's the plan for the following year. And we have a plan beyond a year as well, actually.
And so the research talked a lot about collaboration. Can you talk to me about how you approach collaboration with manufacturers?
So we don't have manufacturing sites ourselves. We have suppliers that would work with us to develop our products to our specification. We would work with them on the development. My team would spend a lot of time with their teams, either in our offices in London or would be at the supplier site working on what we're going to launch. So actually, at the moment, I'm full on Christmas.
Oh,
It's always Christmas in retail, I say, in food retail, but this time in particular of the year we're
well, and you had
starting
a
to look.
coronation thing here too.
Yeah,
So,
and we've sorted the coronation's well sorted. It's actually in the stores.
yep.
So we've been working on the Christmas ranges and we'll work far out. Suppliers know when the brief's coming. We've got some directional trends before that. And then we'll work with the buying, trading teams as well. They're part of that, the structure and how we work with our suppliers.
That's very exciting. And are your when we look in the U.S. particularly, we tend to have pretty global suppliers. So yes, there's a large manufacturer base in the U.S., but the fruit may come from Chile or from Japan, or what does your supplier base look like?
I think it depends on the category actually. So fruit, you're absolutely right, comes from all over the world, depending on
Mm.
where it's the best of season. And there's not much development goes on in the fruit category. We've got suppliers that would supply ingredients that would be globally. My team, where we do lots of sort of innovation in terms of recipe development, it tends to be UK, European based suppliers.
And I know you're going to PLMA in Amsterdam in May as well. You're going to come to the Vertex Awards, right?
Oh, I'm hoping to come to the Vertex Awards. It would be great to meet some people in person, and it feels like, talking about that collaboration and getting out and meeting people and meeting new suppliers and seeing what's out there. We've sort of missed that, I think, a bit over the last couple of years. So it's good to be back out.
All right, so I'm putting it out there, Claire and the Sainsbury's team at the Vertex Awards. We want to see you there. I'll buy you a drink. You can see it. We have cool new trophies. And then next year, you guys need to enter. That would be awesome. So, as we looked at across the board at the kind of range of innovations, right, from this sort of found thing to truly disruptive and radical, where do you typically fall, and what are your thoughts around that?
I think it's much. I think it's actually much harder to do disruptive and radical, but we do it. So there'd be less in that space than there would be around the sort of the sort of more general flavour
Incremental
variant
stuff, yeah.
recipes, incremental stuff. But we have done some radical innovation. I'll give an example of packaging because you might have seen. And I know it's not in the UK. We've changed our format of our packaging for mince, and it's gone into more of a sort
So
of
for the North Americans, that's ground beef.
yes, ground beef. Sorry.
Yes.
So some of the packaging work that we do is probably more transformational to the customer when they
Mm-hmm.
see it because the impacts on the product looks different. So disruptive, truly disruptive, I think is quite hard to do, and you have to be
Yeah.
working quite long out. But there's been a lot of disruption in plant-based actually. So we have seen products come into the market over the last 3 years. So I work with smaller brands as well. So we bring smaller brands in where you can create disruption and innovation from the customer using smaller startup brands where it might be difficult to get that off the ground first and own label. So we do a mix of both actually. So we've seen some disruption in the sustainability space, much more needed there. A little bit coming through in plant-based. It was tailing off for a bit, but I'm seeing some interesting things come back through there through brands that we can bring into own label too.
That's very exciting. So, we write every day about private brand and publish. So, I mean, you guys have really been on a roll with sustainable packaging innovation, right? So, you mentioned the ground beef. Customers have been so about. Don't worry about it. We do that in the U.S. It'll be fine. Chicken. Actually, you launched the chicken packaging that we've had for 10 years. So,
Yeah, I know. So there's lots we can learn in packaging actually from different countries where we just use the products differently. So yeah, we've launched some chicken packaging, and some
laundry
of that,
detergent.
yeah, laundry detergent. It's just that's come out recently. So we've got a packaging plan. We have packaging commitments to reduce plastic, but overall to reduce packaging too. And we've been working to that, and we've got loads of projects. It just sometimes takes them. They're all sort of landing now. Actually, the teams have been working hard on them for a long time, and there's lots of customer testing and that, and how they interact with the product and the laundry packaging. The team have done a brilliant job, and some of the messages that they've got onto pack as well. So my team would look at messaging and how we make sure that we've got the hierarchy of messages and the design right for the customer on our packaging.
Oh, let's see. We have a couple of questions. We'll ask you the $1 million, the mince question. Well, they're talking about it on TikTok. It's the same ground
Yeah,
beef, right?
it's the same one. So a little bit. It's been a little bit polarizing because it's different, right? It's the same product. It's the same as your ground beef, but the ground beef in the US is different to how ground beef would have been in the UK previously. So I'm going to describe it in a way that you're thinking, what's she talking about? Is she crazy? But our previous mince would have looked much more like worms. I always describe it the way that it sits in the
Like
pack, and
worms. Okay,
yeah, it's
okay.
got waves. It's got waves, and now it's much more like the ground beef you're used to.
Right.
And what we've found is that, well, the customers have just got a different experience with the packaging, but also they have to work the mince harder when they're cooking it. So we've put some videos online now with the chefs
Uh,
to help with that. You just have to work the mince more. But what I would say is that the mince, the depth of flavour in the mince is better than in our previous packaging. So if you do that, you get like the product tastes much better as well. So we see an improvement in taste. There's a massive improvement in shelf life moving to that packaging as well, and less food waste. It just takes people to get time to get used
well,
to it.
and it
Yeah,
goes to that marketing question, right? Of we have to make sure to tell people what's going on,
yeah, definitely,
and
definitely.
not everybody's going to love everything. So it's life. Let's see here. A couple more questions. Heather Corkery, who's from CBS, curious how the scope feels about the push for sustainable packaging and if this is considered an innovation from a customer perspective.
It depends on packaging, what you do. So I think it would be seen as an innovation. I think for me personally, some of it's renovation because you've just taken an existing piece of packaging and you've lightweighted it. In some cases, you've actually put the product into some completely different packaging, which changes the customer's experience with the product. And also in some of the new packaging formats that have come through, I'm seeing coming through, there's a way to differentiate your products through packaging and sustainability that brings them to life for customers. So I see packaging as delivering in the sustainability place, but also can be innovative at the same time.
Sure.
And it's how you do both, and it's how, as you've mentioned, you get that you communicate that to customers.
Well, less packaging is rarely, customers don't look at it and go, oh, great. I mean, my Gen Z daughters probably would because they love that stuff. But yeah, there's certainly plenty of packs out there that are hard to open, hard to use.
Yeah,
So if we can do
yeah,
sustainability and ease of use at the same time, you kind of hit the
yeah, you
magic,
do.
right?
Yeah, yeah, customer need. Yeah.
Oh, let's see, Carol. I'm not going to ask a question about sales. Sorry. Let's see here. Carol. No, that's the sales one. Not going to ask that one. Great contribution. This is Ivo Petrov from actually Walmart in Canada, and he used to work for a couple of the discounters. So he says, "What do you think of Aldi and Lidl, and what's your approach there?"
So actually, if you go on to Sainsbury, you see that we've got for our customers, we talk a lot about value. So we've got a campaign called Sainsbury's Quality Aldi Price Match, and we talk to customers. It's a promotional strategy, and we also have different tiers within retail. So we've got entry price point brands for the customer, particularly important in the cost of living crisis. Then we'd have our core brand would be by Sainsbury's, and then we would have Taste the Difference as well above that, which
So
I
the
talked
premium
about.
tier, yeah.
Premium and trade up, been really important in areas specifically like events. So you'll see lots of coronation products in Taste the
Yeah.
Difference. Yeah.
Yeah, which is very cool stuff. I've seen a bunch of that. Yeah, I mean, we have Aldi and Lidl both coming in the U.S., so there's
Right.
the, it'll take a lot. We're just so much bigger. It'll take a lot longer to get penetration than they did in the UK. But they're coming and they do well. So let's see. We've got about 8 minutes left, and I know you're going to have another meeting, so you're going to have to leave us in a little while.
Yeah.
If you could just throw out one piece of advice to somebody in your shoes in South Africa or the United States, or what would the advice be?
I think sometimes, and sometimes one thing I say to my team and I share quite a lot, it can be quite lonely sometimes being the person in the business. And I am not the only person in Sainsbury's that does innovation, but it can be to push people where you really want to take them, particularly when you're thinking about much longer term future things. I'd say don't lose your faith in yourself. You might have to come back a few times with different strategies to talk about it. Or try something small and build it from there, which I've done in some of the businesses I've worked where we've given something a try first, to learn from it and learn fast. So the other thing I'd say is don't expect it to all go right. It won't all go right. In fact, if you're getting all your innovation right, I'm not sure it's disruptive enough.
Yep.
So I would probably, we need to get some stuff wrong, learn from getting it wrong, fail fast, and go back out and try again. And not everything I've launched over my time in career, some of them have been really outstanding failures, but I've learned from them. And what I've particularly learned is how not to do that again. So how to take it forward and think about what didn't work the time when we launched that, where we take it back and give it a try again. So I think have faith in yourself, have faith in the insight, and you can get lots of data around you. There's a wealth of data and data points, but there's something also about your gut feel, which you sometimes need to go with, and I go with mine a lot.
Well, that's the old Steve Jobs thing, right? She doesn't actually know what she wants, right? Or the Henry Ford. Do you want a faster horse and carriage, or do you want a car? Kind of, right? So, data insights only get you so far. They don't get you to newer other
No.
solutions. Um, so then one last question: if I'm a manufacturer and I think I've got the most innovative, coolest thing out there, and I want to get in front of a retailer, what advice would you give me?
So if you're a brand and you want to come in as a branded manufacturer, you've got a cool thing. I would say, if you want to come in and talk to one of the trading team, you need to sort of be able to concisely articulate the point of difference and why your product or thing that you've developed, could be a service, is completely unique and different, or not particularly unique, but it's different to what else that is on the shelf. So understanding what's in that retailer that you're going
Mm-hmm.
to is important. Understanding price and where you need to price it. Understand who your customer is, because sometimes people say, oh, it's appealing to everyone. Well, it doesn't really narrow it down. So if you do know your customer, how do you get your packaging to stand out? And more importantly, if you're quite a small business, how are you going to get into a position where you can scale up and supply a retailer? Do
Right.
you know how to do that and what helps? So those would be the main things. And there's lots of people that can be out and help. If you want to supply in the own brand space, connecting with people like myself and my team in retail and the commercial teams as well, just have a chat actually about products and opportunities, because because often we will be looking to explore new areas and we'll need different suppliers. So it's great just to connect.
Well, and understanding your portfolio, right? So, as
Yeah,
you said, you have a number of brands. Every product will not fit in every brand.
no, it doesn't. No.
But if I walk the store, read your literature, I should be able to pitch the
Yeah.
appropriate product to the appropriate brand, right? It's not, it's obvious to the customer. It should be to the manufacturer.
Well, hopefully the brands are clear. I would hope so.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be. But sometimes it might not be clear. You might just have an amazing concept and you don't know how to bring it to market, and it might need new branding. And some of the smaller brands that we deal with, they've got products. We actually sort of have a program to help smaller brands
Yep.
under future brands get into retail, and we do help them with the scale up and. Especially when we've got specific accelerator programs.
Yeah, a number of retailers are doing that now. I think
Yeah,
it's cool. Well, very good. Well, thank you for joining us, Claire. It's been
thank
great
you.
to see you and learn about your business. Hear about an actual director of innovation. I think that's everybody needs a director of innovation, and then we'll get you a vice president of innovation. Um, let's see here. Heather says, "Thank you, Claire." I bet we'll. There we go. Thank you. So
Thank
that's
you.
very good. Um, as I said earlier, a bunch of people have asked if these are recorded. This is all recorded. You'll be able to watch it tomorrow on our site. Another thank you from Maria. Thank you for holding on to your passions and not giving up. Nobody said innovation was easy. I'll tell you that.
It's not easy, and it shouldn't be. And if it is easy, then you need to push yourselves to see, are we really stretching where we can take it, and stretch it as
Well,
far as you can go, and then pull it back a bit.